session from the current tariff environment, and then one for the Argentina Secretary. You spoke about debt maturities and rising debt payments. More than 4 billion in debt is coming due for Argentina in July, right after an ambitious reserve target accumulation from the IMF. How does Argentina plan to confront those payments? And is there a target that it's looking at to return to capital markets? Thank you.
In terms of the first question related to inflationary pressures and related to the trade situation, I think it is, we had this morning the World Economic Outlook conference in which we had details on that perspective. But I think also it is very early to tell on how this is going to, at the end of the day, be moving forward. So we're not in the business. I mean, at least I'm not in the business of projecting inflation, even in my own country. So very difficult to try to project inflationary pressures on a global basis. But I think it's, as I said before, I mean, we are living in uncertain times. We expect that, trade negotiations that are currently underway reach a good point that is satisfactory for everyone involved. And we normalize trade flows from that perspective onwards. In terms of Argentina, I mean, despite the fact that it's a common theme throughout the G24, what we're trying to do in Argentina for the last 15 months is basically gain our credibility back, and as such, we have elected a very conservative and orthodox approach to the problems that Argentina had, and one of the problems that Argentina had was on the fiscal front, and we have done a tremendous fiscal consolidation. We put our house in order on the monetary front as well, and that track record is the one that will put us in a path to regaining market access eventually. Having said that, from my perspective, as the CFO of the country, what I can say is that we work at it very conservatively. I'm not assuming that I will be able to, that Argentina will be able to re-access markets at a given time, but we have certainty that the maturities are coming due, and that's why we have worked in the past in showing our willingness to pay. We have honored all our commitments. We have now a new IMF program, which has started to work very well as expected. And in addition to that, because of that, conservative look, we have already accumulated reserves, and the Treasury has bought a significant amount of dollars that it has at the central bank to honor those obligations. So we don't expect we won't speculate about when Argentina will be able to re-access international markets. When those will happen, when that situation happens, we will address it. But in the meantime, we still work as if we have no access, and we have to pay down our obligations as we did in this last 15 months.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see 3 remaining hands, but we'll come back to the front with the lady in the brown jacket first, and then we go to that side of the room. I see 2 hands. Yeah. And please keep your questions short. We have limited time. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, good morning. Kemi Oshikoya with the Africa Bazaar magazine. My question is I know the headline right now is regarding tariff and sovereign debt. My question is regarding, we've seen the U.S. cut back on some of the financings that it gives to developing economy. So in terms of financing the sustainable development goal as well as climate action, could you talk about some of the challenges there?
Are your questions related to climate, so we can collect them both at the same time? Okay. Anyone on climate here?
I mean, we face several challenges, and as such, for that, many countries rely on the World Bank, the IMF, to basically be able to develop tools to finance that development, finance climate action, to finance infrastructure. And as such, we are at a period in which, countries have to balance that, in turn with their own macroeconomic situation in that respect. We have many of our countries in the G24 have significant natural resources that need to be developed. Okay, those are the ones that are part of transition energy, for example, and those are situations in which when you cannot access private financing, the role of development financing in terms of climate, in terms of energy transition, etc., is very, very important. But those are challenges that are on the table that we need to address, and we are addressing together as a group and as an individual countries as well.
Thank you. I'm going to go back to the floor. Gentleman right here, and we can go all the way back to you, sir.
All right, 2 questions. I'm Rufai Oseni from Nigeria Rise TV. I'm coming to you, sir. Yes, you brought back fiscal discipline to Argentina, but can you quantify the harmful effect on the lives of the citizens? And that's what we don't talk about. The strikes, the protests, the fact that people don't have money in their pockets. Secondly, you also talked about building resilience. But how do we build resilience where most of the countries in the G24 have one similar problem? A lot of visionless leadership, definitely, and a lot of poverty. Our arms are already tied behind our hands economically. How do you expect us to build resilience? We're just led to the slaughter slab.
Thank you. And can I go all the way back to the gentleman in the back, please?
Hi, thanks for taking my question. My name is Magnus Sherman. I'm with Octus. I wanted to touch on debt restructuring. In October, you called on the reform of the common framework, and I'm curious to know more about the G24 would like to see to the common framework. Thank you.
On the first question, I hate to make reference to Argentina, but the question was directly addressed to that situation. Argentina was facing a very dire situation, 55% poverty rate before this administration took office. So the poverty levels in our country are unacceptable. And we have worked very, very strongly to do a couple of things that basically went straight to address that situation. By having done our fiscal consolidation, one of the myths were that, okay, such a big adjustment, we basically reduced 5 percentage points of GDP deficit in a month, something that has not been done probably anywhere else in the world so far. But we did it because we knew that we had no alternative. And at the end of the day, what happened is that, the myth is that by doing such an adjustment, you would enter into a deep recession. Argentina rebounded out of its recession that was 2.5 years long, 2 months after that fiscal consolidation. Since then, real wages have increased for 10 months straight. Poverty levels have been reduced from 54% to 38% in about a year. And economic activity has increased 6% December 24 to December 23 when we took over. It can be done. That's the message. There's preoccupations before doing such a big adjustment as we did, but it pays out. You need the political will to do it. Everyone knows what needs to be done on the fiscal and monetary fronts. The books have been written about it. What happens is you need the political willingness to attack the problem, because that may hurt politicians when they make those decisions. We have a very strong leadership in President Milei that it basically is the one that has said we need to go in this. And when we have done our adjustment, what he has said is we need to take care of the most vulnerable. We doubled in real terms, while being able to achieve our financial surplus, we were able to double in real terms the assistance to the most vulnerable. And that is something that basically, shows the amount of corruption and intermediation that was on the social plans that the national government was spending on. So now those funds have been redirected. It's funny that we doubled the expenditures in real terms, but the amount that people received more than tripled, because we spent 100, and we're now spending 200 in real terms. People got 60, so they received 60, and then they're receiving 200, and that is a very big realization from the most vulnerable population that they've been robbed for years, because by maintaining fiscal consolidation, by maintaining a financial surplus, we were still able to double the assistance to the most vulnerable.
So we go to Marsha on debt restructuring, because you spoke about it last time.
Debt restructuring?
Yeah, the common framework.
Oh, the common framework.
Yeah, the progress on that, yeah.
Well, I want to add a little to what the chair said in response to the question before I go to the common framework. And that's just to say that the G24 member countries, we have some of the largest economies in the world as members of G24. And the good thing is that they achieved the growth, the size of their economy, most of them over the past 2 to 3 decades, China, India, Brazil. So that takes a lot of vision. That takes a lot of implementation of the right policies. So it's not quite a visionless leadership, but they've had to take policies that enable the countries to achieve what they have been able to achieve over such a short period of time. On the common framework, where we are on the common framework is that some countries have used it, some have found it beneficial. The only complaint, well, some of the complaints we've heard about is that the process takes a very long time, and during that long time, they are not able to access the market, or they have to take some difficult decisions when they don't know how it's going to play out. And we also made that position known. The other issue is we need more participation of private market, maybe of also multilateral development banks, and also to have some precise idea of how it will play out. Some middle-income countries have asked to be part of it. That is not really in discussion now. But all in all, countries have benefited from it, but there could be more benefit. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you would like to add anything? No. Okay, so we are at time. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, Minister Adun had an obligation. So if you have any follow-up questions, just send it to press@g-24.org. That will also be in the media advisory, how to contact G24. The communique should have been posted at imf.org, and the transcript of this press conference will be made available later. Thank you very much for joining this press conference, and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.